Welcome back to Chafin's Garage. Today, as winter has set in here, we have a dead battery on this 2018 John Cooper Works All4 Countryman, and we're going to change it. So how do I know I have a dead battery? Well, the car doesn't start, and then I have already tested the voltage on the battery, which is below 12. Won't hold a charge. I did do an alternator test with that voltmeter as well. Got a good charge of over 14, although almost 15 volts. It's probably not completely accurate because of the battery problem, but somebody will probably correct me on this. But the alternator is down in here, and I did the volt test on that. But to do the volt test, you know, if you don't know already, the battery terminals on this car and all the F series cars is right here at the top. They make it handy. They label this positive. Here's your negative. So this is where you put your jumper, you know, your battery booster or your charger or your voltmeter to check the volts. All right, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to get the battery out of here, which is not as straightforward as the old cars. Old cars, they were either in the rear or up back in here, and it was pretty easy to get to. They had compartments that were accessible. It's a little tougher, so we're going to have to take some things apart. We're going to do that in just a second. Of course, the first thing that's necessary with, you know, your car projects is to have a nice warm up top off on your coffee. I use Levas. It's really good stuff from Guatemala. Anyway, cheers. We're about to change a battery. Okay, in order to change the battery on the Countryman, we are going to need to take out this ductwork first. Then we're going to take that piece out. In order to do this, we're going to need a 10 millimeter, I think an 8 millimeter, and a 13 millimeter socket. So have those handy. And that's pretty much, I think, all we're going to need in terms of tools. So we'll get going right away. Okay, first thing we're going to do, like I said, we're going to take this ducting off. So this is 10 millimeter. And just it's just 2 of these. Pretty simple. Set those aside. Don't lose them. One of these days I'm going to get a better light. I can afford it after I become a big YouTube star. Don't worry, that didn't break. All right, then we're going to take this off. Take your mass airflow sensor off. I think this might be an 8. No, it's smaller. We'll take that off separately. So let me get going with this. That's a 13, I think. So we'll do that next. Okay, so 10 millimeter here. Right here. And then we're going to take this off. This off we already took off. We're going to take that mass airflow sensor off. Okay, back to what we were doing. So we took this 13 out. No, that was a 10. We're going to take these 13s out. Take 10s out, I think, or 8s. Let's see. We'll figure it out. Pulled our 13 from there. I'm going to pull our 8s from up here. Okay, so those are 8s. Those are going to come out, get set aside. Now, some people want to pull this mass airflow sensor off. That's probably not a bad idea. I just leave it on because I just flip that over. It's kind of a booger to get off when you're underneath because of the clip, which I always struggle with. So if I don't have to pull it off, I don't. One less thing to break. So we're about ready to pull this cover off. We'll also need to pull off this. And this guy just kind of comes out. There's nothing holding that in terms of, there's some tubing over here which you can just unhook, and then this can be set aside as well. And now we're ready to pull this off. Set this aside. Okay, in order to get this off, there is one more 13. It's right there. It's hidden behind this. So, you know, there's a pop rivet here that you need to pull out right there that holds this piece in. Then you can get to this other 13, if you can see it there. And we're going to pull that out right now. This is just to take the battery out of the car. Remember the old days, like this car over here, this old 2003 Land Rover Discovery. I cleaned the battery out this morning, you know, the little corrosion. This thing, you just pull right out, sits right in front of you, boom. As they say, Bob's your uncle. No, not many, not these new cars. An hour-long process. This is why they charge you $500 at the dealership. That, and you have to register the battery. So, you know, it's probably books in at a 1 hour job. It's had to be lifted. There's some corrosion on that battery. That could be part of the problem. Look at that. All right, this set aside or throw aside. Look, the vent was not even put into this car. So Minnie put this in 2.5 years ago, BMW battery. And now you start to wonder, well, this could have just come out now, right? I mean, I guess it could have come out. Anyway, that needs to come aside, all right? Then I think these are 8s. We're gonna pull the negative first. You pull the negative first, which is back, let's see, the negative goes straight to the chassis. That's this right here. So there's the negative back there. We'll pull that first, put that aside, then we'll pull the positive. This battery will slide out. And then we'll go get our new battery. We'll reverse it coming back in. Okay, got our new battery installed. So you installed the cables in reverse order. So when we took the battery out, we took the negative cable off first. In reverse order, put the positive back on first, then the negative. You'll hear the powering come up. Make sure you connect your vent tube back in and plug that in again. And now we'll put all the other pieces back in. We'll get the clamp down, get it all put back together. And then we have to do one final thing on this car. All the newer cars, you have to register the battery. And if you don't have the right software or coder for that, then you're gonna have to take it to someone to do it or buy one. But that is important, particularly if you're changing the battery's amp hours, or I think it's primarily the amp hours, which I think are the same on this battery. So we may not even have to re-register it, but we're gonna go through the process anyway, just to make sure. So you might wanna mark the battery if it's not marked with a date, with a Sharpie or something as to when you put it in. And take a photo or know what the cold cranking numbers and the amp hours are and all that for registration. Okay, so we're going to put the rest of this back together. It's a good time to blow things off, clean them. I checked the coolant, by the way, which was a little low. Added some coolant because you can do that, you know, pretty easily with everything out. So we'll get it back together. Okay, so we've replaced the battery. Now, if you've replaced the battery with the same amp hour and the same type of battery, which is probably an AGM type battery, hopefully it is. If it's an AGM and it's the same amp hours as the one you took out, this is why it's important to note what you took out and what you put in, then you don't have to do anything else. You don't have to recode the battery to the car. But if the amp hours have changed or the type of battery has changed, you've got to redo it. Now you can do it on a Mini, and any BMW you can use Bimmer Code. So Bimmer Code is the app that I've got open now. So you get yourself an OBD connector adapter, which I use a V-Peak, which is underneath here. I don't know if you can see it. Little blue light, it's a Bluetooth deal. And then you're going to have to buy Bimmer Code. Bimmer Code, because a Bimmer Link won't recode the battery. With Bimmer Link, which is I think free, you can register the battery in terms of when you replaced it. But if you want to recode a battery, you've got to use Bimmer Code. Now, I don't need to do it, but I'm going to do it here just to show you. So when you open Bimmer Code, you're going to get these options. And the one you want to use is the body domain controller. And it will take a little bit of time to do this, so I'm not going to sit here and wait for this to go across, but it takes a couple minutes. But once it gets loaded and it reads all the coding data, then we'll come back and I'll show you what options you have. Okay, back now. It's fully loaded, so these are the options that you get, and for coding in that body domain controller, which is the one that we're in. And the one that you want is simply battery type. So you can see that in this car, what was coded is the 80 amp hour AGM, which is the one I replaced. It's got more cranking power, but that really isn't an issue. It's this type of AGM. See, there's an 80 amp hour EFB, which we don't have. So this is the same one. So this is really all we need to do. We don't need to do anything to recode. If we were going to change the battery type, we would click on one of these and then we would recode this battery to the car, so the car knows the type of battery that's in the car, so it knows how to charge it and monitor it properly. But we don't have to do that. So we're done. That's how you do it if you do need to do it. Okay, now we go back to Bimmer Link. So Bimmer Link is free, I think. Open Bimmer Link, choose 12-volt battery. And what you should see is the battery they have in there and what the charge is. So let's register a new battery, and let's do same capacity and type. Register new battery. The following preconditions have to be met. The engine is off, and the ignition position 2 is on. No error stored in the engine control unit. So as long as that's happened, it's fine. And we have that going on, so it should be registering the new battery now, which is the same one. If we're trying to do, it says it's registered successfully. So there you go. You've now registered the battery in the car, and you coded the battery if you needed to with Bimmer Code. This is Bimmer Link. Got it? All right. That's battery replacement for the F series cars in Mini.